David Gates was a common poor man, but he used to play with money for 16 hours a day, but his own pockets were always empty. Actually, David was the supervisor of the armored car of a security firm named Loomis Fargo. His job was to transfer millions of dollars between banks. He used to guard this money all day long, but his own salary was barely $8 per hour. But how long could he survive by strangling his dreams and covering himself with the heavy blanket of honesty? One day, David gets fed up with this honest life and thinks of doing something wrong. This is the interesting story of the 1997 Loomis Fargo bank heist, in which a common man forced the FBI to launch an international manhunt, and this story became the basis of the 2016 Hollywood film Masterminds. David Kent even worked in a film based on his own story, and unfortunately, he did not get any money for this work. David Gond was a retired soldier of the Gulf War. He had protected the country, and now he was a VAT supervisor in an armored car company named Loomis Fargo. That means money in hand, empty pocket, and burden of family responsibilities on shoulders. He used to work 75 to 80 hours a week, but in return he got only 50 cents per hour. David Gond was fed up with his routine. Loneliness and disappointment of not doing anything big was eating him from inside. These were the circumstances that created a strange restlessness in David's heart, and eventually he started getting negative thoughts. No sooner had the thought of dishonesty come to David's heart, the devil opened a new path for him to take this wrong step, and the name of this path was Kelly Campbell. Kelly also worked in Loomis Fargo. She was a smart, bold, and mysterious girl. During her job in Loomis Fargo, she somehow became friends with David, and they often met after office timings. The friendship was so deep that even when Kelly left the job, the two continued to meet. One day, Kelly introduced David to one of her friends, Steve Chambers. Steve was a petty criminal who always dreamt of earning quick money. When Steve came to know that David was the supervisor of armored vehicles in Loomis Fargo, a dishonest idea came to his mind, the idea of robbing money. But to make this idea successful, it was necessary that David joins them, and then both of them started trying to convince David. David Gandhi had bad intentions from the beginning. Steve Chambers' idea was like pushing a falling wall for him. At first, David was very scared because he had not done anything wrong in his life before today. But Steve's style forced him to slip. He showed David dreams of a happy and luxurious life. David's frustration in life, Kelly's support, and Steve's greed, all these things together brought David to a point from where it was very difficult to turn back. Then the planning of this master plan begins. Now, because Steve himself was a petty criminal, and Kelly had no experience, and David had no experience, so their plan was such that it would make any professional thief laugh. The plan was very simple. On the night of 4th October 1997, after duty, David would stay in the vault. He would switch off the security cameras. He would also steal the cassette and then run away from there after loading the money in the company van. The plan was that after the theft, David would immediately run away to Mexico with $0. This amount was chosen because at that time only this much amount was allowed to cross the American border. The rest of the cash would remain with Steve Chambers, and then after the matter cools down, David would come back and this money would be distributed equally among everyone. But there was a problem here. There was a big flaw in the plan. If David takes such a big risk and runs away to Mexico with only $0, then why would Steve share the remaining looted money with David later? But the blindfold of greed had blinded David. He never thought about this. And then finally that night came. On 4th October 1997 at 6 p.m., David sent his trainee staff home. Now he was the only one who had the responsibility of the vault. A scared David went inside the vault, and as per the plan, he disabled 2 security cameras. He also took out the cassette in which all the stolen money was stored. The recordings were there, but by mistake, he forgot to turn off the 3rd camera, which was hidden in a corner of the vault. This 3rd camera kept recording all the scenes of the Loomis Fargo robbery from that time till the next few hours. Completely unaware of this, David started lifting cash from the vault. But there was another problem here. This time, he was not lifting the cash to transport it after counting it. Rather, he had to empty the entire vault. That too, all at once and completely alone. Most of these were $20 notes. According to an estimate, it was more than 8 lakh notes or more than 8,000 bundles. It also needed a lot of time to fill so many bundles in the van. For the next 2 hours, he kept filling the van with cash. After filling the cash of about 17.3 million, he did not even know that he had committed the second biggest robbery in American history. After loading all the cash in the van, David started dancing for joy, and his dance was recorded in the third camera. The next morning, when the rest of the Loomis Fargo employees came and tried to open the vault keys were missing. The police were called because David Gant was the only one not present in the office. That is why he became the prime suspect from the very beginning. When the security camera footage was seen, all the doubts turned into certainty, and finally David's dance added salt to the wounds. In the security footage, it was seen that David was repeatedly messaging someone on his pager while committing the theft. This proved that he was definitely not alone in this work. Now the police started searching for David Gant and his accomplices. After searching the entire city for the next 2 days, FBI agents found the cash van parked in the forest. There was also about $3 million in cash inside the van, which was probably left behind due to its heavy weight and lack of time. Cassettes of both CCTV cameras were also found in the van. This means that David and his companions now had about $14 million in cash. Most of these were $20 notes, which were not even marked. This means that if someone spends them, they cannot be tracked. David had fled to Mexico with $0 as per the plan. He reached a luxury beach resort there and started living there. The police and the FBI published advertisements in newspapers to search for David and his companions, and also promised a reward of $5 lakh to the person who gives information about this robbery. The police appealed to the citizens that if they see someone around them who has suddenly got money, then report to us immediately. Due to this campaign, the police started getting a lot of calls throughout the day. The police was forced to arrange a separate desk for the Loomis Fargo robbery. Most of the calls were being made just to try their luck, but there was one call that set the wheels of the stalled investigation in motion. A man told the police that his neighbor had suddenly come into a lot of money. It was none other than Steve Chambers who actually had this whole plan. The FBI started keeping a secret eye on this. It was found that Steve could not control himself, and he bought a big and expensive house with his wife, Michelle. He was also spending a lot of money on a new BMW car and other luxury items. When the FBI checked his bank accounts, it was found that he had suddenly deposited a lot of money after the 4th of October. Their suspicions were further confirmed when the bank teller told them that the money was brought in the form of $20 notes. Michelle, who had come to deposit the money, also asked the teller how much money is deposited without them reporting to the FED. The FBI's suspicion had now turned into a belief that whether anyone else was there or not, Steve Chambers and his wife Michelle were definitely among those supporting David. But they wanted to keep quiet and find out about the other associates, especially David. Only about 10 days had passed since the investigation, and all the things came out in the open. To get to the bottom of the story, the FBI started tapping Steve Chambers' phone. During a phone call conversation, David Gant's name caught the attention of the FBI. This phone call was between Steve Chambers and Mike McKinney, and both of them were actually plotting to kill David. Actually, Steve Chambers went mad after seeing so much money, as there was a flaw in the plan. He wanted to kill David in Mexico and grab all the money alone. FBI arrested Mike McKinney, who immediately revealed the whole plan. Mike revealed that David was in Mexico, and he told that after stealing cash from Loomis Fargo, he took the car to the parking lot of Renault's printing press and shifted the cash to another car there. Surprisingly, Steve used to work in this printing press. He did not even think of taking the car to an unknown place and transferring the cash because he had very little time, a lot of cash, and a completely wrong plan. So he left the $3 million in the car and parked it in the forest. He did not even bother to leave the car far away. This forest was located right next to Steve's office and just a few kilometers away from the warehouse of Loomis Fargo. It seems that the police and FBI had already found out about the entire group in the first 10 days, but they waited for the next 5 months. Solid evidence was collected, and then on March 1st, 1998, David Gant was arrested in Mexico the same day. The next day, Steve Chambers, his wife Michelle, and Kelly Campbell were arrested in Charlotte, North Carolina. The FBI recovered 88% of the looted money. Steve Chambers spent the rest of the money on buying luxury items. Steve Chambers was sentenced to 11 years and David Gahn to 7 years. David's bill for the missing $3 million was also torn up, which he had not actually spent. In 2016, a film named Masterminds was also made on this story. The film's producer hired David Gahn as a consultant, but he did not receive any salary, because legally any money that David receives will be used directly to pay off his debt. At that time, David was working as a construction worker, and he said that he cannot repay this debt even if he works for his entire life with his earnings. Even today, David Grand lives with his wife and children in Jacksonville, Florida, and earns his living by working as a construction worker. He also has a presence on social media, and he keeps giving people a chance to learn a lesson from his mistakes. Hope you will like and share this video. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next great video.